A lot of people, black, white, Mexican, young or old, fat or skinny, have a problem being true to themselves. They have a problem looking in the mirror and looking directly into their own souls. Around the reason I am who I am today is because I can look directly into my face and find my soul.
Did you ever go through, because I know that divorce is sometimes a taboo topic, especially among Christian women.
Yes.
Did you ever go through a point of questioning if you made the right decision?
No. Because the way my situation happened, I just knew God wouldn't put me in a situation that would make me question him, if that makes sense. Like, as far as questioning him, no. But feeling guilt, yeah. And then it took for me to see what his plan was to realize this is why I made you go through that. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, if I think about it, I got married out of my own ego. It had nothing to do with my ex-husband. Everything had everything to do with me. And so once I realized that, it's like, Crystal, this didn't work out because of you. Like, you picked somebody that you really it wasn't for you. And you knew that. But you acted on what you wanted to do. And I made myself believe certain things because I fasted from sex till I got my husband. Oh, and it was 3 years. I was able to tell people, oh, I waited 3 years before I had sex with me and my husband. And I'm thinking that God gonna bless my marriage because I'm sacrificing all this. He never told me that. That was stuff that I made up in my head, you know what I'm saying? Thinking, because when I was going to different churches, they like, Crystal, you have to do this. You have to do that. And I'm thinking I'm going by the book, but not knowing that everybody's story is not my story. You know what I'm saying? So it took me a while.
That's almost like an idea that God is a genie, right? If you do it this cookie cutter way, then no matter what, it's always going to work out.
And that's not the case. Because this relationship is completely different with every one of us. And what looks right for you may not fit me, and what condemn you may not condemn me. And I had to learn that in finding my own voice, especially in my own spirit. Like, I used to be one of the people that if I was going to a church and they'd be like, well, Crystal, you can't do X, Y, Z, da, da, da. And I would miss out on different things, but I would still be kind of curious. And the curiosity be more just as a sin as me actually doing it, because now I'm fantasizing and thinking about it. When it's like, at this point, Crystal, would that even be in your mind if that person ever said this to you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Fellas, this is why y'all got to be careful out here. The last stop for a bird is the church. I keep telling you guys, if a woman is on a podcast discussing her relationship, 9 out of 10 times, she's who she is. Here's the thing. What type of woman will get on a podcast after she divorced her husband and tell the world, yo, I made him wait 3 years. I was just wasting his time. And while she's doing that, she's using God. These birds are very evil, fellas. These birds will find God and find the church to clean up their image. That's it. If you listen to these birds, right? These birds equate God with finding a man, or they equate God with relationship. They don't worship God just because it's the right thing to do. They only use God when it comes to relationships, or to find a man, or to find a husband, or to find a sucker. And she's saying, this is what God told me. And so God told you to take advantage of some dude out there and sit down on a podcast now and put him down. These women are who they are. I'm trying to tell y'all. And this is why, as a man, you got to pay attention to the signs. I keep telling y'all, when it comes to a woman who is demonic, around her eyes, it's going to be very dark. Observe. Observe, fellas. The signs are always there.
Fact.
Like, you wouldn't even be this was never on your mind until this person brought this to your attention, you know? So I had to really learn myself, like, we're all here to have spiritual experiences with different things. And sometimes it's so hard to go by what other people say and how it made them feel because you're not them. That was one of my biggest lessons as a young woman.
I think my pastor preached about that one time. He said the strength of sin is a law.
Mhm.
And so if you don't even know what the laws are, then you may or may not do it.
Mhm.
But as soon as you know,
Mhm.
it's going to make it that much more tempting
Absolutely.
for you to do those things.
Absolutely.
It's wild because you said you were ignoring signs before marriage.
Mhm.
So what were the signs that you felt like you ignored prior to
Ooh.
even getting married?
One, I was emotionally unavailable.
So they weren't even about him.
No, everything was all about me. And I honestly feel like everything that was done was because of decisions that I made, if that makes sense. And so that's why I couldn't leave that marriage bitter or angry at him, no matter what he did, because everything that was done because of decisions that I made prior, if that makes sense. So when I spoke about the part about sustaining from sex for 3 years, not only did I sustain from sex, but we didn't hug, we didn't kiss. So you got to think, as humans, when we come together, everything that I've wired my mind as sex is wrong, don't touch me, I shouldn't have this. It took so many years for me to get that out of my mind. You know what I'm saying? And so I know for sure, like, that man definitely lacked affectionate. You know what I'm saying? If he was looking for a different type of support in different ways, it was hard for me to just find. No, everything was all about me. And I honestly feel like everything that was done was because of decisions that I made, if that makes sense. And so that's why I couldn't leave that marriage bitter or angry at him, no matter what he did, because everything that was done because of decisions that I made prior, if that makes sense. So when I spoke about the part about sustaining from sex for 3 years, not only did I sustain from sex, but we didn't hug, we didn't kiss. So you got to think, as humans, when we come together, everything that I've wired my mind as sex is wrong, don't touch me, I shouldn't have this. It took so many years for me to get that out of my mind. You know what I'm saying? And so I know for sure, like, that man definitely lacked affectionate. You know what I'm saying? If he was looking for a different type of support in different ways, it was hard for me to just click into that. But that's something that people don't tell you because they say, no, save this for marriage. Don't do this. But they don't tell you a lot of them ain't did it before. You know, I'm being honest. They can tell us all this different advice and things that we should do, but a lot of them have never done it. But when you actually do it, it takes a while for your mind. Not only that, and it's easy for you to say, well, that's your husband, you should do. You still have a human body that have feelings, and you already done told yourself for all these years not to do this. It is so hard to just snap and to do something when you're already in the habit of not doing it.
Yeah, if you've
What is her purpose for even doing this interview? Because pretty much what she's saying, she know exactly what she did. She did it on purpose. She withheld sex from her ex-husband on purpose. So besides trying to put this man down, what is her main goal doing this? And this is what I'm saying about these birds, man. These birds are evil, bro. And this is why y'all dudes gotta take notes, pay attention to the signs. Listen, if you get around a bird and she's not pure, she's not a V, do not let her make you wait for no 3 years, bro. Do not let her talk about abstinence, bro. That shit only applies to women who never had sex before. Okay? You can't meet a woman who been getting ran, and then when she get with you, all of a sudden is, oh, I'm a good girl now. That doesn't make any sense. Don't let these chicks play y'all like that, fellas. Facts.
Trained your brain to do something is like the Lord has created us to follow those patterns, which is why the Bible says to train a child up in the way they should go. And when they get old, they're not going to depart from it.
Absolutely.
It's because your brain has been trained that specific way.
Absolutely.
So no matter what, if you train your brain that sex is wrong in general, then you're not going to want to have sex.
Absolutely. Like, don't touch me. Ew, it's nasty. It took a while for me to kind of even get used to like the hugging, the kissing, because I had told myself, I knew going in, like when we were like, you know, going through like getting ready to get married, I knew if I would have hugged him or kissed him a certain way, I'm going to be ready to do something. So in my mind, I was just like, no, I don't want to hug. I don't want to kiss. We was never affectionate in that kind of way prior to us getting married after I had my daughter. When I made my mind up, and I kind of feel like I was extremist a little bit because it's like, Crystal, that is just so unhuman. Like when I think that, like, you ain't hug him, you ain't give him like not even a church hug. I'm like, like, no, I don't want you to touch me in that kind of way, and I don't want to touch you because I was so scared to be tempted and then to be looked at like, oh, okay, y'all living together, y'all having sex before married because I had got into church, you know? So I feel like a lot of the experiences I have is from not taking the time to really get to learn my own voice, you know? Like I really should have taken more time to kind of understand what that looked like for me as a woman versus what it looked like for the mother of the church or what it looked like for my sister in the church.
Yeah.
Now, look, fellas, it's normal for a man to have a soft spot for a woman, especially a woman that he's interested in. That is natural. That's normal, right? But you got to be logical, bro. You can't let your emotions dictate the way you think. Because what's going to happen is you will try to save a bird. And that's impossible. Because when a man really likes a woman, obviously her ex-husband really liked her. And he accepted her for who she is. He had ignored the signs, right? And he was driven by his emotions. So when a man is driven by his emotions, he will always try to do the unthinkable. He will always think he's doing the right thing, trying to save a bird. So if a bird is like, oh, no sex before marriage, and if a man is really in love with her, he's going to wait. He's going to wait. But that's a man who is thinking with his emotions. As men, we can't think with our emotions. We always got to be logical in life, or else we're going to be vulnerable and things will turn out bad. That's just the reality of being a man. Regardless of what people tell you, or you always got to be logical, bro. Once you start thinking with your heart, with your emotions, it's going to end bad for you. Facts.
Now, I definitely agree with abstaining, but I do think that there's something like a way that abstinence could be taught differently. Because even when I married my husband, like he didn't know it until I finally told him a minute later. But like on our wedding night, after we consummated the marriage, baby, I went in the bathroom and cried.
Because you felt wrong.
I felt so bad.
But why nobody talk about that?
Actually, I knew that it was going to happen.
Oh,
I
okay.
had.
Listen, of course she felt bad. You know why? Because, damn, I've been busting down with all these other dudes. And the one sucker that chose to marry me, I made him suffer. Think about that. That's why these women are crying. Because they've been getting down with the get down the whole time. Then they came across a sucker like, oh, he's willing to marry me? Let me put him to the test. Let me see how much of a sucker he is. I'm gonna make him wait. Wait, hold on. He's actually waiting? Wow. And then after the marriage, okay, let me give him some of this funky coochie. And then they cry, oh my God. Oh. They are crying because of what they put you through. Yo, think about that, bro. A chick made you wait, and there are men from her past who probably smash the same night. Crazy.
One small group leader from college who I love so dearly, who would actually express that.
Gotcha.
She said when she got married, it took a while and nobody had ever told her that. So she told us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had nobody to kind of talk that to me, but everybody was so, you know, if you're taking this walk with Christ, you need to do X, Y, Z, and da-da-da. And I'm one of them people, it's like, I want to get it right. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, when you first start your relationship up with God, it's like, you know how it is when you're in an intimate relationship with somebody, it's always hot and heavy the first time. So I'm like, I want to get this right now. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't realize it. And yeah, you do feel like a guilty remorse after doing it. And then it's like, why am I feeling like this? This is my husband. You know, he's supposed to touch me, you know. But then later on, I learned in my walk with God is that there were other things that was making me feel that way. And although my spirit was very sensitive then, I wasn't in a place to handle that. And so I had to go through different experiences to kind of understand what my voice was. And then once I started understanding, then there goes well, that's my husband. He's not going to do that. He wouldn't do that. And then it's like, I'm battling myself. You see what I'm saying?
So you're saying mentally you were like, oh, there are other things
I
going
felt
on.
it, and I couldn't understand what it was.
Oh, you felt like.
I felt it.
You felt like it was
other things, absolutely.
other things.
But I could not.
And you're like, no.
I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was because it's like, you go home, you go to work every day. We both go home, we go to work every day. It's like, it wasn't adding up. But mentally and spiritually, I kept feeling it. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I know it's something. And so that's why when God told me, like, that is not your husband, it was almost like
you're
a confirmation.
married to this man, and God told you that is not your husband.
It's not your husband. It's not your husband. Yeah.
Wow.
So imagine having to swallow that pill.
Yo, that's another thing too, fellas. When you come across women like this, and they hit you with the, oh, God told me, understand that's a red flag. That's a woman who's making up shit in her brain and blaming it on God. That's something a bunch of these witches be doing. And as a man, you gotta be careful, bro. Once you come across a woman and she starts sounding like that, well, God told me I was gonna find my husband and run. Don't look back.
Because it's like, I feel like going through my divorce was also an ego death. Because again, I got married because I thought that was what it was supposed to be. God never said, like, this is the man I have. And which you don't say it like that. You would see it in the different fruits and different things. I didn't have anything to line up with what it was supposed to be. Inside of me not having sex for those 3 years. He never tried me. You know what I'm saying? He respected my walk. I would definitely give that man that. Like, he respected my walk wholeheartedly. And even if he thought I was getting weak, he'd be like, Crystal, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really give him that. He's a stand-up guy when it comes to that. But it was so many other things that I looked over, and it took for me to go through that to understand, like, you missed a lot of things because you were so caught up into yourself. You were so caught up into yourself and your own beliefs. And as you didn't even take the time to see, how was this man relationship with God? He watching you pray and you're not even inviting him to come pray with you. He would watch me pray every night. before we got off, he would watch me pray every night. I never invited him, hey, come down here and pray with me. Never.
Yo,
Because I'm like, I don't know how to tell him to come pray. And I'm thinking he should want to come pray if he see me. And then I start thinking, I don't know what gave me this bright idea. I'm like, if he see me doing it, the more he see me do certain things, he'll come and do it. And I'm like, okay, well, that never happened.
No, well, that's what they tell you in church. Like you just leave.
Bro, it's like, this is crazy, bro. So now she's trying her best to put him down. So now she's the holy one and he's unholy. Fellas, man, take notes, man. I'm telling y'all, take notes.
By example.
And that's what somebody had told me. Because I remember having a conversation with someone in the beginning, and she was like, if he see you praying, this was like before we got married, and a little bit like in the beginning of our marriage. The lady was like, if he see you praying, he gonna pray. She was like, I guarantee you. But then later on, I had to find out too, he was dealing with different things with his own relationship with God, but I never asked that. You know what I'm saying? I never asked it because I was just automatically assuming, okay, well, he don't want to do it. But that wasn't right for me to assume that as a wife. So that's why I'm like, I feel like a lot of things that I went through in my marriage, it just kind of prepared me as a person, because a lot of things that I was dealing with and what I was thinking and assuming a person should do, that was only what I would have done.
That's wild. So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are this like successful business owner, you've done all these things, and you were successful before getting married.
Mm-hmm.
Was your success ever like an issue in your marriage?
Yes and no. And so I say yes because I found out later on that, he was like, that kind of made him a little insecure, different things. But no, because in the beginning, through our process, he was like my number one cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? And so it was never like he was the kind of guy to be like, I don't want you to do this or that. It was never that kind of guy. He was always like, I watch the kids while you do this. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I would see, but I never took the time to put myself in his shoes to see how it made him feel. You know what I'm saying? Because the dynamic is different. Normally the man in a relationship is considered certain things, but in this dynamic, it's the woman, and so I didn't take any of that into consideration until I went through my divorce. And then I started asking him questions because we have a really great relationship. Like, we're still very much friends. Like, that is like the brother I never knew I had. Annoying. But I remember asking him certain questions, and he was like, well, yeah, that, certain things would make me feel insecure. And I'm like, why? And then I would talk like to my other guy friends. They was like, first, he a man. Like, that's And then I would talk like to my other guy friends. They was like, first, he a man. Like, that's a
Come on, bro. This is just crazy. So while she was married, she had guy friends that she used to talk to. She had guy friends that she used to talk about her relationship with. They probably was cracking, bro. Trust me. Fellas, when a woman talks about her relationship with another man, in case y'all don't know, she's trying to smash that other man. Understand that. It happens a lot at jobs. When a bird sees a dude that she likes, she's gonna make her way over and, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this? And that's what I'm saying. That's what I be trying to tell my husband. And all that man gotta do is just play it cool. And he's smashing. If a woman is married and she got guy friends, bro, trust me, they are smashing. I'm just keeping it real, bro.
The man at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So certain things that you want to be able to do and you can't because your wife is doing it, although y'all should be a team, it still mentally will bother a man.
Mm.
And that was something I was like, it took me a while to process that. And then once I really took the time to understand, I'm like, dang, I get it.
How did that make you feel, like finding out post?
Yeah, it was like, so I'm gonna be honest. Once the divorce and stuff happened, God laid out a whole road of everything. And it was some things that were just so hurtful. And I was like God really kept me covered because had I would have known some of this stuff going on, I probably would have lost my mind, like literally. So a lot of the things I didn't find out until afterwards, right? And so I'm taking the time and I'm going through it and I'm listening. And then I'm in the process of thinking like, okay, but why would he feel like that? Why would he have to do that? You know? And then getting counsel from other men because I'm like, asking a woman is something, but a woman only can help me far as a woman can, but a man is the one who's gonna be able to tell me what a man feel like. And so when I started getting guidance from men, and I'm like asking, even my therapist was a man. He was like, "Well, yeah, you got to look at how that looks, how that makes a man feel." Like, and so the feeling behind it, it was just like, but then it still brought me back to the decision. Crystal, this was your decision. So
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, bro. The thing about a bird knows exactly what she be doing. Look, I had a situation at a past job. This one chick used to come to me and tell me about issues with her and her boyfriend. I already knew Shorty was just trying to smash. You know why? Because, fellas, women are smart. They apply tactics. Because the chick will come at me at the job and be telling me about her boyfriend, and it's like, she's telling me shit that she should already know, that I know she already knows. But she's telling me this to give me an opening. Okay? That's what it is. They are trying to give you an opening. They are making it easy for you. That's what it is. So, what she's saying is pretty much similar to that situation because she knew exactly what she was doing and she knew why she was doing it. But a bird will always try to play the blame game. A bird will do some whole shit and try her best to blame it on somebody. Like right now, she's trying to put the blame on her husband. But if you pay attention, he was a good man. He was supportive. He even supported her walk with God. How is that not a good man? Oh, he was insecure. He was insecure, but he supported her career. Come on, bro.
it's like you have to go through whatever it is and you have to deal with these feelings, understand how this feels so you don't go on making your own decisions again. You know what I'm saying? You still got the consequences. Even if you think you did everything by the book, you still have to deal with those consequences. And that was one of them.
Look, this ain't cool, bro. I'm tired of this chick using God name in vain. Look, here's the reality, fellas. The main objective here is to pay attention to the signs. Okay? I keep telling y'all, if a woman is on a podcast, she's who she is. Pay attention to the signs of a bird. Fake hair, face filled with makeup, big ass eyelashes and all that. And she's on a podcast to put down a good man who was supporting her. Understand that, bro. Is only a evil woman will put down a good man. Think about that. A person who helped you out, supported you. You're on a podcast telling the world that you wasted his time. What type of woman will do that? A bird. Okay, fellas, pay attention to the signs and understand something. It's cool to be a good man, but make sure you're a good man to a virtuous woman. Only a fool will be a good man to a bird. Fellas, you can't save a bird. Don't matter how hard you try. And that's the thing. Sometimes us as men, when we like a woman, we be thinking, man, I could save her. Let me support her. And all you're doing, bro, is making a mistake because, fellas, you can't save a bird, bro. It's only going to be a matter of time. Be wise out here, fellas, for real. This is what you imagine him being in a hospital room with and the baby's coming out. Fellas, again, focus on yourself. That's what it is.